It's called a promo,
Shut
kid.
your
And
mouth,
if you want to
John.
be the big dog, you're going to have to learn how to do it. So go ahead.
You ready? No! I said, are you ready?
That was good. Glad you finally decided to pull that giant stick out of your butt and have some fun for once in your life.
You're uneducated marks! You sit there on your phones tweeting out your opinions like they're worth a damn. Let me explain something to you people. You don't know shit!
And I'd like to think that maybe this company will be better after Vince McMahon's death.
What that means for the whole crew, the wrestlers and the staff and everybody who works here, and everybody can rally around that for the future, all the women and men in the company, the wrestlers, the staff, that's so great. And that's the part I never imagined. Because like when you're like writing Dynamites when you're like 12, 13 years old in the back of the classroom, and this is your like lifelong dream.
Me too,
the part
Tony,
you
me
don't
too.
account for,
Yeah.
good and bad. And the part nobody really accounts for, good and bad, when they're like thinking about it. But the part that's the most different from like imagining what it would be like to do it versus actually doing it, it's the real people, good and bad. It's not easy sometimes. Sometimes it's the easiest thing in the world. You have like Tony Storm come up and like, you know, one of the greatest people of all time. And like, you know, there's moments like that, and Tony Storm gives you your hat and sunglasses. Okay, that's pretty easy. That's fun, right? That's a fun day at the office. There's days that always aren't the most fun day at the office, but what I love about it is the people, the fans, because I'm a wrestling fan, and like I said the last time I was up here with you, I know that doing it 365 days a year, it's like hard to be a wrestling fan. It is. It's hard to maintain that 365 days a year. And one of the things I was really proud of with the Continental Classic is that I felt like there were people that, first of all, some people that I know because the ratings kept going up. There were people that was drawing in by focusing on those great matches, by having all these great rivalries developing in the women's division, even with some of the big stars being out, having Thunder Rosa then coming back from the injury, and having all these great young women rising to the top. Even Tony Storm, I'm talking about somebody in her 20s who has certainly
She's still relatively young.
an old
She's
soul,
been around a minute.
and is truly timeless person. You know, it's really cool. So I'm so happy for the crew, and can't even begin to name all the wrestlers and people that I'm happy for, but also the backstage people. So then those ratings were really big, and then the South.
There we go. He goes off on such a tangent there that even I just zone out, and I'm like, oh yeah, the opening clip's ending. Dude, also, as always, I'm always on a pay-per-view high, coming off of World's End last night.
For those who couldn't see, I was doing the Tony Storm pose.
Nobody can see you right now.
Right.
Nobody can see you.
Well, I was hoping you'd see, but you didn't, so.
That's because I'm focused. I'm doing my show. Pay-per-view had a very slow build, but it overall was solid, and that's why I'm not here today because I'm still in Long Island mentally.
I don't know. Build. I think, also, welcome back to me, I guess.
Yeah, we were going to get there. Today is so packed.
Yeah, the pay-per-view, look, I think there was a point in one of my notes, it literally says, oh my god, I don't care about any of this. So, that was the Chris Jericho match.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it was okay. I thought it was their weakest pay-per-view this year, by far.
It's a fair assessment to say. It was such a slow build.
I was I don't know how to put this, but taking too much time. Moving on.
Well, here's one note that might help, but also isn't that relevant to what you're going to say. I love the arena and hated the turnbuckle pads. It's like, if I'm like in custom arena mode and I'm building an arena, those are not the turnbuckle pads. That's the most random note ever. I know, but it's just how I felt. I'm feeling sad still, but we'll get more into the pay-per-view later too. That's like,
yeah,
we always start on Collision, which, coming off of a pay-per-view and then talking about the shows before the pay-per-view is kind of weird, but I always find character in it. For instance, Danielson and Claudio wrestling to a draw, advancing Danielson into the Blue League Finals.
That was so well So well executed.
It was. I almost like predicted it because I didn't see Danielson losing, but I felt like if any finish could happen where Danielson wouldn't advance, it would be because he had a draw, and that did advance him. So that it got a little confusing towards the end there. Once they had the triple threat Gold League final with Jay White, John Moxley, and Swerve Strickland, it was like, hold on, we can do this? Oh yeah, we can.
Yes, we can, and yes, they did, and it was pretty good.
Acclaimed narrowly retained the trios titles as well, which
I feel like
Top
Flight is going to take those titles really soon.
I'm glad you said it. I knew that's where you're going. That's why I said to say it, because I have a note later on about Top Flight and Andretti that is directly related to this. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to save the juicy shit. What's funny is it's actually like one of the longest notes I have on the whole show today, because I'm just going to go that deep with Top Flight. Hook cements Wheeler's FTW rules challenge from a couple weeks ago with a counter challenge of his own to a FTW title match at World's End. I was originally going to play the clip, but see, again, when you're coming off a pay-per-view, you already know what happened. And I'm hoping this is where they're going with this, but I felt like they should have done a thing where Hook challenged him with the dynamic, okay, I'll fight you for my title by my rules, but first, I fight you for your title with your rules.
I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm.
I was the idiot who thought, oh, maybe Wheeler's actually going to win this title too.
I had a inkling at one point where it was like, it could happen, but I just didn't see it. Hook versus Yuta for the pure title beforehand would be cool. And again, I'm hoping they said something about it on the pay-per-view last night, so I'm hoping that is going to be a thing. And counteractively, would you be interested in seeing Hook not only wrestle a pure rules match, but be the ROH pure champion?
I feel like that could work.
That could work.
I feel like it could work.
That's what I was thinking too. That's why I was like, why are they not doing this? But I had to Matt Hardy that shit and let it play out. Now, I'm going to go. We didn't get to this in the production meeting because we got caught up on our cards. We got some really cool cards. January 3rd, you can watch my unboxing video.
And I have a bunch of mine that I didn't do an unboxing for, unfortunately, but maybe I'll post them to Twitter.
Yes.
I have a bunch of my best hits, as I say.
One thing I'm going to lightly mention here and now is that given the circumstances and situation, anything involving Chris Jericho is paused, and anything involving the situation during this event and Chris Jericho's allegations, I will address on our upcoming program, IWCT. That's the platform in which it's acceptable for me to talk about that in its context. I'm going to talk about it. And so I'm going to delete this note I have about the tag title spot and Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara. That's
fair, because I also didn't want to really touch anything. That's why the only note I was going to have was that the Jericho thing I had no interest. And it wasn't just because of Jericho. That was part of it, but I'll go in detail later.
Yeah, lightly referencing that it's... My only standpoint is you need to wait a little bit and see how this is going to unfold. You got a sketchy source giving you information on a very sensitive subject with a party in that subject narrowly confirming it. So there's a lot of like different characters at play. And at 0 point, this is the only thing I'll leave it on. At 0 point, do you use that situation to push a wrestling agenda, a fictional agenda? And so that's why for now we're just going to sweep it under the rug.
Boop.
Daniel Garcia picks up a sneak win over Brody King, ending their time both in the Continental Classic. Yeah, he's doing the dance.
I can't do it in a chair, but you guys get it. I have come around to Daniel Garcia so much. I don't know how, but it just happened.
And he had a lot of good insight on the media scrum last night.
Daniel Garcia right here.
Right under Bryan Danielson.
I mean, it makes sense. They're kind of linked now, almost.
Got a coffee burp. Now, Eddie Kingston, of course, advances to the Blue League Finals to face Bryan Danielson. We know how that's going to end, but we'll get to that when we get to Dynamite, of course. Now, everybody knows, because we've been building for 3 weeks, it's the end of the year episode. We did our awards. We ran our Twitter polls. Everybody voted. More than everybody voted. I was like, there was hundreds more votes than I thought there was even going to be.
Yeah, it was. You guys really great turnout. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I even put just like a 9-hour poll up last night on if MJF is staying in AEW or leaving to WWE, and like 157 people voted on that.
Let's go. We're getting around.
Yeah. So, first two awards I'm going to announce during this episode is Pay-Per-View of the Year and Best 2023 Year. And on the Pay-Per-View of the Year, this shit got fucking crazy because...
Super close.
Yeah, it was super close. Forbidden Door didn't make it. The final four candidates were NXT No Mercy, which was fair.
That's fair. Really great program.
Wrestle Dream, which I kind of had an argument with, but I didn't complain. I let you guys talk. WrestleMania, which almost won, losing only 2% under the winner, All In, at 38%.
I will note that the two biggest shows for both promotions this year, it almost makes sense.
It makes sense, and a lot of people think it's played out, but at the same time, when I remember All In, I was like, no, that was like a really great pay-per-view match for match.
It was, yeah.
I mean, we started our show after that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Although we kind of planned to. Now, Best 2023 Year was close in the semifinals, but when we got to the finals...
No competition.
Yeah. I think it's because, again, there was, in my opinion, to call you guys out a little bit, there was a bit of bias in the semifinal voting. I don't think MJF should have been eliminated. He had an amazing year. I looked at his full year, and every match he had was phenomenal. But that said, the winner was rightful, in my opinion. So our finalists, going down from top to bottom, loser to winner, Seth Rollins at 11%, Cody Rhodes at 13%, LA Knight at 20%, and then the winner by unanimous decision, Will Ospreay at 56%.
Yeah, and I feel like, looking at all these people, I feel like, I'm going to be perfectly honest here, guys. I don't think Cody should have been in there.
You don't think he really had the best 2023 year, which is fair, but he made it into the finals.
I think, just everything he's been through. I mean, there's like little sparks here and there, but definitely could have been much better.
It's like, well, he wins the Rumble, he goes to Mania, he loses, he goes into a program with Brock Lesnar forever. Yeah, it's just, you look at his whole year, and it's like, well, maybe this isn't the category for him, but the fans vote, and the fans get what they want.
Yeah, we don't say we don't give anything to you guys, because we do.
What I didn't realize was happening that I'm really behind going on this week is the announcing of New Year's Knockout Week. Raw having day one, NXT New Year's Evil, and SmackDown New Year's Revolution, which I don't know why we decided that's where we're going to bring that back and how, but I'm behind it.
I feel like it's
like New Year's Revolution? Hell yeah.
I feel like this feels like a big shift, right? And I think I'll probably say this multiple times. All this we know about Triple H doing all these different things, and like, I feel like this is a big shift in how they're marketing and how they're going to operate going forward.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think they look at, because of course they don't compare themselves to All Elite Wrestling very much, and I don't think they need to, being that you're the top company in professional wrestling. But I do think they look at the success of some of the entitled episodes like Winter is Coming, Air, Blood, and Guts, and of course... Go ahead.
I feel like also giving something a title alone generates more hype.
Right.
It's like, rather than watching a random episode of Monday Night Raw, you're watching Day 1 Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, giving it that title does make it feel more special. I mean, I've been to Winter is Coming 2 years in a row, and be like, yeah, I've been at Winter is Coming, not at Dynamite. And AEW is not the first program to bring that, but I feel like they've popularized it now, in a sense.
That makes sense.
Raw does a year in review of their own, opening match being the World Heavyweight Title Tournament Finals between Rollins and Styles. Bomb opening match, I would say, for a show.
That is fair. I'm
literally going to break Raw and... I'm breaking Raw and SmackDown down by match like it was an actual show. And that's what makes this so fun now. Now, we get a Jade Cargill signing flex just to remind fans that she does work there. They just don't want to do anything with her. I'm just kidding. I'm taking shots.
Rumble. That's definitely a Rumble call right there, isn't it?
I do think she'll be in the Rumble, but I don't want to take shots actually or have any seriousness to that because I do believe she is not only like training and doing stuff to get WWE ice, but I think there's some personal stuff going on that makes her have to take time away.
Maybe, I don't know. There's been a lot of, like, especially when we bring up AEW, we're going to bring up a lot of different things they have going on as well.
Yeah. Now, another great match on the Raw card. We watch Rhea versus Charlotte at WrestleMania 39. Banger.
Just putting out the bangers on regular TV. Let's go.
Yeah. You got Gable and Gunther. Banger.
Banger.
Cody versus Brock. There's a little bit of bang there. There's a little bang. There's a lot of banging around.
Yeah.
Becky versus Trish. Steel cage match.
That was a banger, yeah.
Peter Rosenberg called it the match of the year, and I don't think it made anybody else's list.
I don't think it'd be match of the year, but it was... I think it has, like, lower tier women's match of the year. And I say lower tier because, like, Athena... I watched ROH... Side note, I watched ROH, Athena's match. Oh my god.
Yeah. I've watched her here, and we'll get to that later. I'm going to spoil too much too early. Now, the main event of Raw was the Survivor Series Men's War Games match, and I'll say it again. Respect to JD McDonough for taking that RKO spot off the cage.
Yeah.
That thing, I don't care how many times they show it, I'm going to cringe every time. He eats that shit.
He's good at eating shit. Never mind. Oh, shut up now.
It was actually really hilarious. Dude, New Year's fucking revolution on Friday. I can't get over it. Okay, now it's the next
time
one.
again.
Thank you, Raw, for being so easy and predictable. I ran through Raw. That was the whole card. Now, here we go. On to the next award. We got Match of the Year. This one is big, and this one I thought about doing a revote for because it was that close. The top three were that fucking close. And there's a bit of a story here because during our semifinal voting, people tweeted at us relentlessly, of course, as everybody was going to, as why didn't this match make it? Why didn't this match make it?
Yes.
But unanimously, people gathered together to tell us that Sheamus versus Gunther versus McIntyre at WrestleMania 39 deserves to be on that list, and we listened. I said, you know what? If this many people feel this strongly about it, I'm putting it in the semifinals.
And because of that, I think, didn't you take out Dragunov versus...
Hayes, yes. Dragunov. I took out the option that was getting the least amount of votes. At that point, it had 8% of the votes.
Look, I get it. But guys, come on.
I know. But it's one of those things, and especially when it came to pay-per-view of the year, I wanted to fight and argue, especially when it came to best 2023 year. I wanted to fight and argue so bad, but I was like, people need to have a voice, and we're giving them that voice.
I joke around, but you know, your opinion is valid. Everyone's opinion is valid.
Yeah. And we got into the finals. Sheamus versus Gunther versus McIntyre made it into the finals as well, and made it into the top three, but narrowly lost. So, going again from last to first, Danielson versus Sabre Jr. got 13% of the final votes, did not win.
Wow.
Here's where it gets close. Paige versus Strickland, Texas Deathmatch, 28% of the votes.
That's fair.
Sheamus versus Gunther versus McIntyre, 29% of the votes.
Also fair.
Yeah. Now the winner, Ospreay versus Omega 2, 30% of the votes. There's only a 1% difference between all top three.
That's insane.
Yeah. So much so to where Twitter even labeled it so close. Sheamus versus Gunther versus McIntyre and Ospreay Omega 2 are both highlighted. They, by Twitter standards, both won, but by less than 1%, Ospreay and Omega 2 won that. That's insane, man.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I still think Dragunov and Hayes. Dragunov and Hayes 2 is my favorite match of the year, just personal preference. But also MJF and Cole didn't make it at all.
It made the semifinals, but it didn't get voted into the finals. I agree. I think it was a top three for me personally.
Yeah.
Dude, same time as NXT, WWE had their live show at Madison Square Garden. I saw the footage, and the matches were solid.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying, why are they even showing NXT? And to that,
that's not fair.
Shame on you.
Yeah, that's just not fair.
Honestly, I I didn't actually take notes until last night. I started going down and like reading results for everything. I watched NXT live.
Yeah.
But I had not been used to taking notes again, so I don't have a lot of notes, but
Anytime you don't have a lot of notes for NXT, I have a fucking book on NXT.
see, that's probably. I mean, that's fair. Let's start with you then, because you probably.
Book. Like Chase U loses All or Nothing last chance match against Out the Mud, putting them back to square one with their debt and giving Out the Mud a tag title opportunity.
See, I have no idea where they're going with this storyline.
That's not. And see, that's what's even funnier is I don't care about Chase U, and yet I've somehow gotten involved in this storyline. I don't know how.
It's because it's so. When WWE does a storyline that's so long running, I feel like it makes you pay attention.
I feel like because I'm Italian, I'm obligated to.
And
like
also
anything
because
the family does.
they've obviously been highlighting it. It gets,
Yeah,
a good amount of time, and the opening match this week, so.
You only open a show with something people are already invested in. Now, again, NXT doing their own end of the year awards, and theirs were pretty fair, I would say.
Yeah, I would say too.
Creed Brothers won the NXT Tag Team of the Year.
Only debatable because now they're on the main roster, but they spent a lot of that time in NXT, so.
Putting on quality matches.
Yes.
Tiffany Stratton, NXT Female Superstar of the Year. Was that fair?
I feel like that's fair, but I just want to say the women's title this year for NXT, so off. It's just like every reign that happened this year, so off.
Yeah. I'm hoping for more optimism in Lyra Valkyria's reign because I expected more out of it than I've gotten, but I've realized that it's still too short to make that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I love Lyra.
Yeah.
I've been following her since NXT UK when she was Aoife Valkyrie. I don't think it's gonna live up.
Man. Now, your favorite, Ilya Dragunov, lives up because he won NXT Male Superstar of the Year, and I felt like that was fair.
I will 100% stamp that.
Yeah. Bias or unbiased, I felt like that was really good pick to win.
I think the only argument would be Carmella.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. We're on the same page here. Hey, this is like, there's Dempsey right there. We're watching the NXT Greatest Matches DVD, for anyone wondering. Now, even though it didn't win ours, Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov No Mercy wins NXT Match of the Year. And that deserves a solid.
I will 100% bias aside say that is definitely the right call.
Yeah, that deserves a solid and firm. That's fair.
That's fair.
Solid and firm and fair. And now this is the one that got me. I was cracking up at this. NXT Moment of the Year. Undertaker showing up. Do with that what you will.
I think in the context, it is kind of the moment of the year because it's like,
okay,
Undertaker showed up to NXT. And when you combine the fact that John Cena showed up to NXT.
Yeah.
Like, I would have put that entire show as moment of the year because it was crazy for the NXT crowd and the NXT fans to see that.
Yeah. And that definitely doesn't get lost on me. It just took away character-wise from all the other great things NXT accomplished this year. And at the same time, I don't think you really forgot about those by this being a pick.
No.
Because some cool shit happened. Minus the Von Wagner Braun Breaker thing.
That was kind of... There were moments. I still think the fact that they made me care about Von Wagner at one point was still crazy.
Noam Dar retains his Heritage Cup, but yet another classic defense.
Dar is like... There's a reason he still has that cup. And shout out to Briggs. I feel like... And you probably have a note about it. He's going to have... I don't think he's going to be world champion, but I feel like he will get the North American Championship at one point.
That makes sense. I mean, you see everybody doing their own thing, so it makes sense. Lexis King, this didn't make sense to me, but I feel like at the same time was really funny. Lexis King got knocked out of the men's breakout tournament. It surprised a lot of people. He was the pick to win once he entered in.
I think once people were like, oh, Lexis King is winning, I feel like Sean was like, nope.
Psych. The same thing as the TNT title match. They said, psych. So the men's breakout tournament final is set. We get Chase U's Riley Osborne versus Obafemi.
Fun fact that has nothing to do with anything. Riley Osborne is currently involved with Blair Davenport.
I had no idea. This is just a fun fact we got.
Yep.
Now, Thorpe versus Dijak Underground was solid as fuck, and I wasn't aware going in that this is the second time NXT has done this, and this is why I was saying last week's episode might have had some importance, because I talked about this a lot last week as far as where Raw Underground didn't work, but now that I've watched this, because it was executed much better than Raw Underground was, so my question to you is, the first time they did this, was it the same as this?
Yes. In fact, the whole thing was, it was Thorpe versus, I believe, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. He's in the Quarter Catch crew. Damon Kemp.
Okay.
So it was Thorpe versus Kemp. I think combine the fact with Thorpe's entrance alone, like, this, the whole Indian walk and, everyone, slapping the mat to it and, then you have everyone surrounding the ring, the lights, the fact that even if the crowd doesn't look like they're into it, you have these people ringside that the whole time look like they're into it.
Yeah.
And by virtue, I noticed the crowd would get into it because those people were making noise and, making it hype. That's where
it
NXT
raises the energy up.
That's where NXT Underground works.
Yeah.
And I feel like this could become Thorpe's match.
Yeah. I mean, he's successfully won 2 of them. And again, watching Raw Underground a couple of years back, I would have never thought they would revamp it and make it good. It was fucking weird. I was like, is Shane back?
I also want to say Thorpe and Dijak both. I know a lot of people have been hyped on Dijak a little bit, but I still don't think Dijak, and I definitely don't think Thorpe get enough credit.
Yeah. Eddie Thorpe is fucking solid.
I think this is one of the few times where they signed someone from Japan and said, yeah, we're going to do something good with him.
Yeah.
And at first it didn't look like it. Remember? I brought up the whole thing with him and Dijak and how racially insensitive it was.
Right. And I'm glad you're bringing it back up, because I have a question and it's going to actually involve that a little bit. And I won't spend too much time on it because I don't think anybody is actually getting too politically correct here or anyone's offended. But just to split hairs here, because it's something I'm aware of, does Eddie Thorpe himself use those kind of references, like calling it the Indian walk and stuff like that? Because
he refers to it as his people. The character that he's playing, Thorpe, the last name, is a reference to Jim Thorpe, a famous Indian something or other. I forget.
That's where I'm trying to stop you.
Apparently, he has Indian blood in him.
And see, that's where I'm trying to stop you, because using the term Indian is racially insensitive. He's not a
Native American.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I forget about that.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up, is because we've used that reference many times and it's inappropriate.
I just want to let you guys know, this is not me trying to be racially insensitive. It's just, we're so conditioned that we don't give it any thought, but I will try better going forward.
Yeah, I don't think nobody's voiced it, of course, and
no one has
noticed it at one point. But likewise, it's good to address now, so that way it doesn't become an issue later on.
Exactly.
Dragunov did sign the contract, by the way. He is wrestling. That is another note I had.
He threw out the neck brace, said, forget it, I'm going to fight.
Crack.
Which I think that's a very Dragunov thing to do, and I
talked about it a lot on the show last week, too, as far as that angle. And, again, it's not new in wrestling to use a stretcher angle, but given the circumstance around it in Big E, it definitely made it a questionable call.
It does not do anything for Ridge at all.
No.
It doesn't make him look good at all.
Exactly.
And I guess given what happened this week, it makes Dragunov look a little good, but still, I wouldn't have done it that way.
Okay, on to our next awards here. Man and Woman of the Year.
Man and Woman of the Year! Sorry, I had to do it in afterwards.
So, this guy is no stranger to winning this year. He's won a lot of awards. Again, on Man of the Year, we're going from top to bottom. Every single category, top to bottom. Cody Rhodes did not win Man of the Year. He was last at 12%.
I say that's fair as well.
He's a company man, but he's not the man of the year. Jon Moxley was third in 20%.
That's fair.
Gunther, 32%. Pretty close.
Pretty close.
But the winner, who has won several awards this year, Will Ospreay.
Willie O.
2023 was just a great year to
It
be Will
was.
Ospreay. Woman of the year had no fucking competition,
No competition at
whatsoever.
all.
And it was questionable to add her to the list.
Because she's technically an ROH.
Right, but when you put in that much fucking work, you don't deserve to be left out of the conversation.
No, and I think it shows, definitely.
Yeah. Io Scott, no, actually, Jamie Hayter got the least of the final votes
Which,
with 11%.
that's fair, and I feel like it almost, because she was out for more than half the year, I almost feel like she might not have, she should not have even made the list.
Yeah.
Even though she had an amazing first half of the year.
And that little bit of credibility put her in the semifinals. I didn't see her getting out of the semifinals, but I think she's just that much of a fan favorite.
Definitely, and
same with Io Sky. Io Sky just did have a good year.
Io Sky had women's, from an in-ring standpoint, probably one of the best years.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rhea, I feel like, I'm surprised. Was Rhea on? I don't remember if she on the semifinals?
Wow. How did Rhea Ripley not even get on the list? Scrap everything. We're re-voting.
Because I feel like if Rhea would have been on this list, she would have, if not taken it all, made second. Because she's just such a fan favorite. And she doesn't do a whole lot, if we're being honest.
Damn, I want to go back and look at the semifinals. I thought Rhea Ripley was in the semifinals, but
She
looking
probably
back,
was. I just don't remember.
I feel like she was, but I can look it up later. Toni Storm finished in second place with 25%, and that's really low, given the winner, Athena, if you hadn't figured it out already, won at 52%. And to your point, like, maybe she still would have won had Rhea made it into the finals, but
I think she would have, just because...
Was Rhea in the semifinals?
God, Athena's
going to our
work
Twitter.
this year. While he does that, I just want to say, I did watch Final Battle. That's what I was referring to earlier with that match with Athena. Such a good... We don't cover ROH.
You heard me yelling.
But I do recommend to go watch Final Battle.
Yeah. Go watch me get beer splashed on me by Jon Moxley.
Oh, yeah, you were there.
Yeah, I was there live. I was in the crowd.
I'm so upset. I really wish I would have gone now, because that show was so solid. That's ROH, though.
If you go back and watch that amazing match between the BCC and FTR, you'll see me get splashed beer on by Jon Moxley and Dax Harwood. I think, Rhea Ripley wasn't on the initial list, and I think had she been, it would have been a whole different conversation.
I think it definitely would have been...
She should have made the list above, Jade Cargill, because Jade Cargill didn't get but like 6% of the vote. She shouldn't have been on the list. She had a great year as far as her running AEW, but... So.
Yeah, and even press for WWE, she did have a great year as well. But comparatively to these other women, especially Rhea, who has been great for press, has been great for just fan interaction.
Yeah.
Support from the fans. The only thing she's lacking, I think, is an in-ring body of work.
Okay, here we go. Get over to Dynamite now. Dynamite opens up with the Gold League Finals triple threat. And it was an attention grabber. It grabbed my attention anyway.
Oh, hell yeah.
Banger, even, you may say. But Moxley wins it. I popped. Because, again, my prediction from the beginning, from before a match even started, Jay White and Danielson were going to be at the end of this, and Jay White was going over. That was my prediction, and I was so fucking close. Both men made it into the finals.
Well, yeah, they did. Okay, that's fair, yeah.
I popped when Moxley won. I didn't expect it. Even less did I expect Kingston to go, but that's another story. Which, what a fucking story that is.
It's one of the better stories, I think, of the year. Had it been before the voting, I feel like we could have thrown it in there. That's how good of a story I think it is.
That's funny. Sammy Guevara returns to jump back into the Jericho Vortex, but again, this is a note that I can't really get into now. It's not that I can't, it's that it just doesn't, it's not fitting with where we're at mentally.
No.
But the Blue League final does go off. The fuck did you expect, though? It's Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston wins, shocking a lot of fucking people. But
Yeah, it kind of
making
shocked
nobody
me a
mad.
little bit. But then when I looked at it, I was like, it makes sense.
What a crazy twist in this event, too. It's like Mox versus Kingston for it all. And the
Yes.
promo after the match had chills and cringes to it. Chills and cringes. It's okay, though. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play a clip. I got more awards to get to later. I'm having fun with these awards. I wish we could do it every fucking week, but that wouldn't make much sense.
It would devalue the awards a little bit.
I was so sad to see MJF lose the ROH tag title so quickly to the masked guys, which we all kind of knew who they were at that point anyway. At least a lot of us.
It wasn't until the day of the pay-per-view where I was like, I know who everyone is. So,
Yeah.
But I remember, shout out to my friend, I don't know if they want me to shout them out by name, so I'm not going to, but I talk a lot with another friend, and they were like, oh my god, this is the worst storyline ever. And I'm just...
I'd say the worst.
I said, side tangent, I said the worst storyline going on right now is Chase U.
Yeah.
So, no. But having masked men win a title is kind of...
Seeing the official
Yeah.
championship render was weird, but at the same time, I had, at that moment, a very strong feeling it was the Kingdom, and it would make sense for the Kingdom to hold
Yeah.
the ROH tag titles. And so, it was all starting to, like, puzzle piece together for me at that point. The Devil appears and says, pleasure doing business with you, to signify Samoa Joe had been working with them, and of course, Adam Cole had played all of this into effect already as far as, like, give Samoa a chance, blah, blah, blah.
That's another part where I was like, oh.
There was so much mystery left there as to who even are the ROH tag champs. But like I said, you kind of could start to put some puzzle pieces together. And people on the internet, I remember one guy on the internet literally sent me like photos of the Kingdom and of the masked men and broke down how they're the exact same body build. And I was like, okay, go off.
All right.
So skip over that because we're not going to talk about the fucking Vortex right now. We get a solid pure title match between Wheeler Yuta and Matt Sydal.
Actually, solid, yeah.
And if you guys hadn't noticed in the past few weeks, I've been adding Rampage to Dynamite because they're taped on the same day, and I refuse to just take time in between them. When I'm at a live show, I'm watching them back to back.
That's fair.
I fucking loved that. Didn't expect Matt Sydal to shock the world and win, but they let him go out and wrestle a good match, and that's what I like.
That's great. I love that.
Dude, they had a fucking solid match. Any pure title match I'm invested in because I'm just a purist myself. Another great trios match for Top Flight and Andretti, and I'm actually talking about this one in some depth. I went on it earlier. Now I can actually get to what I wanted to.
I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
They're putting on these amazing trios matches and bringing real hot attention to the trios division right now, and maybe putting the ROH six-man titles on them is a smart business move. I mean, the AEW trios titles would have been even better, of course, but that didn't happen, and you can argue the belts being on the Acclaimed is better for business. But Top Flight and Andretti are in a position right now where they can capitalize if Tony will pull the trigger on it.
Okay.
And I feel like the Gates of Agony have had 2 runs with these six-man titles. They've been mid-card every time. They've gotten some ROH TV main events here and there. But Top Flight and Andretti right now are putting on matches that people are invested in. People are watching it on ROH and Rampage.
I know there was a little bit of hype when Gates of Agony, specifically those two, went over to Japan and had, So maybe you send them to Japan. Like maybe...
Oh, this is something I hadn't thought about.
Maybe you send them to Japan and let Top Flight and Andretti take that reign. That could be cool.
Interesting. See, this is I like this. Giving me ideas I hadn't thought about yet. Pull my awards back. I don't know why I closed my awards. I'm pulling my awards back up.
Let's go.
I'm about to announce 3 back to back.
Back to back to back.
Storyline of the year. This one wasn't too much of a competition.
No.
What's funny is one of the finalists made it into the finals somehow, but didn't get a single vote once it made it to the finals. It's weird.
I think that's fair, seeing what it is.
Yeah. So then why did you guys vote Don Callis and Kenny Omega so strongly in the semifinals, made it to the finals, and it didn't get but 0%?
I think because it was that same week where I said, God, I don't care about Don Callis at all.
Con Dallas, that's what I like to call him. In a third place, very far away, Chad Gable and Gunther, which was good, but 6% isn't a lot of votes.
Yeah.
Now, a second that wasn't so close, but it's been the best storyline of all time in the past few years is the Bloodline. Year 3 was what we labeled it as. And people voted that Year 3 was good enough to be the second runner-up, but Better Than You, Baby stole all the votes.
Destroyed everything.
58%. More than half.
Yeah. Now, I wonder how the Devil Reveal would have...
That was in the list.
It was, but we didn't know who it was. I wonder how that whole... Because we also didn't know about the whole... with Masked Men taking the titles. I think that part right there, even though we knew who it was, still turned a lot of people off. Because I know that's what my friend said. Like, just have them reveal. Just... but I wonder how that would have affected that, like the voting between Bloodline and Better Than You, Baby, if they would have had that full thing.
Right. And it was a category, like I said, like potential devil reveal being good enough to hold storyline of the year, but nobody bought into that, which I didn't expect. It was a good. Better Than You, Baby was a fucking storyline of the year for sure. Every intricacy, and again, that's why you and I both are like, wait, MJF and Adam Cole isn't match of the year, but in-ring storytelling versus just in-ring competitiveness and athleticism is two different conversations.
Yeah.
Character of the year. This one was fun, and it was the winner won by more than half, but the semifinals was actually really close. Akira Tozawa made it into the finals, rightfully so, but did not win. He got 10%.
I was doing the dance.
Third place, we got Cardblade, Jay White.
Cardblade is #1 in my heart.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Second place,
Adam!
Yeah, my actual vote, Roderick Neck Strong. And then the winner, which had no surprises behind it, was Timeless Tony Storm.
God, I wish we had video on us, because I was doing every pose. Every single pose.
Season 2, I hope to be doing a lot more of that. That's what we're aiming for. Now, surprise of the year didn't even go past semifinals, because in the semifinals we realized if you vote something over 75%, it's already going to win. That's just... There was no semifinal
I don't think there was anything that was going to beat it anyways.
CM Punk returning to the WWE is probably the surprise of the decade, so it was a shoo-in to win that one. There was no arguments. I think, like, positive or negative, everybody looked at that and was like, yeah, that's
surprising. Look in his eyes, what do you see? It won surprise of 2023.
Hey, bar. That was a bar. Another year in review. Let's head on to SmackDown. I'm smacking it down. We revisit Cena putting Solo Sikoa over in a major way at Crown Jewel.
I still think it's hilarious that he did more for Solo than he did for Theory.
I still think he did it for Umaga. I feel like it was in his head. Umaga made me look like $1 million. I owe it to him.
That's also fair. I guess you could say he was thinking that all day.
Now, we watched back on SmackDown one of the match of the year contenders for us here, Sami and Kevin versus the Usos at WrestleMania.
Yes.
Amazing match. I'm glad that made it into the semifinals of match of the year. I wish it had made it into the finals, but there was some good fucking matches on that list.
Unfortunately not.
Again, the least amount of votes was for MJF and Adam Cole, and that's not fair.
So not fair.
We give another tribute to Bray Wyatt, somebody we are all still very much grieving, myself included. It was tough. It's still been tough. They show Rey Mysterio losing the U.S. title at Crown Jewel.
And
nothing's really happened since then.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the tournament, to be fair, the tournament was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. And at the same time, I literally forgot about it 3 times. I kept trying to think to myself, wait, what are they doing with the U.S. title? Oh, yeah, there's a tournament. And again, the tournament, in my opinion, I don't want to get too controversial, was mute because you already had a story building with Kevin Owens. So you kind of already knew, predictably, Kevin Owens is the winner.
You did, yes. But at the same time, you at least gave showcases to a couple, like, especially... The biggest part for me was, of course, Carmelo on the main roster.
Yeah, that's fair. You know, that... When you bring that point up, that makes me feel a little
and him
like
getting a win, too, because I didn't expect him to get a win. I'm not going to lie.
You pointing that out makes me realize that's probably the goal there, is not necessarily to have a suspenseful tournament, but to get some people on the main roster card that you don't normally see wrestling good matches on there. So you got me. Oh my goodness. Heard someone get shot outside.
I hope that's not what that was.
Me too. We end SmackDown reliving one of the most biggest fumbles in WrestleMania history.
Oh God.
Yeah, the biggest fumble in WrestleMania history. Cody losing at WrestleMania 39.
I think this face right. No, I think this face right here.
Showing me some cards. You got Wheeler Yuta.
I think this face is how I feel about that.
See, I'm jealous, and you guys can't see this, but I can. He's got a Konosuke Takeshita playing card, a Double or Nothing playing card, and I'm jealous because I got Matt Menard for that one. I got Daddy Magic.
Look, do you guys want to know what makes Daddy Magic? No, I'm not going to finish that.
I feel so bad for him right now. He got fucking...
Got teched.
Poor Matt Menard.
He's a sports entertainer.
Brody, apparently he's a bitch, according to Brody King. He's like, you're not going to do shit. You're a bitch. What? If I was Matt Menard, I would have been like, fuck y'all's match. I'm getting in this ring now.
I was hoping he was going to do that. I'm not going to lie.
I thought maybe there was something on there.
I think Matt Menard and Daniel Garcia as a pairing, as like a manager type deal, I love it.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Best heel and best workhorse. Again, I did this. I made the categories myself, and I was not about to do best heel, best babyface. Best babyface is stupid. I want to know who the best workhorse is. And that was a little bit different because the semifinals only had 2 people get votes in it. And that's when I realized, okay, we're going to take the top 2 out of this, and those are our only finalists. And when they were in the semifinals, they were neck and neck. They were like as neck and neck as it can be. But getting to the finals, everybody took their vote and was like, no.
I know some people have soured on Seth Rollins a little bit.
You think?
I've seen it a little bit. Like,
I would have expected that.
I just think his reign. I see it all the time. Like, oh, he's only a song. He's only a chant.
Damn.
Like,
that's not it.
No, it's not.
Seth Rollins is a high caliber athlete, but that's another conversation. He did not win Best Workhorse, though he came second place at 36%. And again, semifinals, he was neck and neck and arguably was looking to be the winner. But doing the revote, Orange Cassidy won the finals by 64%, and that is as unanimous as you can get there.
You forgot heel.
No, I'm getting there. I scrolled downwards when I needed to go up, but I know that Best Heel is next. Now, the Best Heel was the tightest competition in the world. It actually wasn't, but I complained about this one a little bit because why in the world did Swerve Strickland not make heel of the year? Okay,
I don't know.
MJF, best heel of all time, one could argue, went on a babyface run, so the argument for him not to be best heel of the year, yeah, it made a little sense. Swerve Strickland was a fucking villain. He didn't make it into the finals, but Logan Paul made it into the finals and got zero votes. That's not fair. Don Callis didn't get close. He got 5% of the final votes.
I want nothing to do with Don Callis, so that's fair.
Dominic Mysterio came in a very far second.
That's kind of surprising.
Very, very far second at 20%. And then the winner...
Wait.
Okay.
Quiet down while I'm conducting my business.
Okay.
It's Christian Cage.
75% of the votes. It was not actually close at all. He won Best Heel by a landslide.
I'm sorry I had to get that in.
No, you're good. That's why I'm here. Serena Deeb is returning to AEW.
I have mixed feelings about this, and this sort of goes into the whole tangent about...
Go off on a tangent. I want more coffee.
So there's been a lot of injuries and mental things going on lately, especially in AEW. Serena Deeb apparently was out with an injury, and then she had some seizures, and that's the reason why she was out for much longer, because she started having these bouts of seizures.
Oh, shit.
So her coming back makes me like, I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know if I love Serena Deeb. Like,
the table.
She was one of my favorite females of AEW when I first started watching.
Yeah, she's
But-
a legend.
But like, if you're having those kind of problems, I don't feel like you should get back in the ring. I just don't. Maybe the doctors told her it's fine, but
yeah, I was
still,
like, that's a medical opinion.
the fact that it happened almost and like there was seemingly no explanation. Maybe hold off. And this same thing, like there's a lot of people who are fighting like MJF. As much as I respect the man with a torn labrum.
Yeah.
Like, these people are putting their lives on the line here. If not their lives, then at least their livelihood. Like, their quality of life.
Yeah.
I feel like it might be time to start looking at this and setting limits.
And that's a decision, I guess, for them and their... I mean, it's one of those things like it's my body, my choice type deal. But
It is, but I
as
feel
a
like
fan, I agree with you. Like,
we should-
I'm concerned about their
yeah.
lives.
But yeah.
Adam Cole's a great example.
Another one. Danielson. Like, Danielson's whole run this last... Ugh.
Yeah.
That match with Andrade specifically made me very uncomfortable. I remember both my brother and my mother, while they were watching it, they cringed. They looked away at one point.
Yeah.
Because that just... I don't know if it's because it was actually brutal or if it, blurring the lines, but... Yeah, that's how I feel about that. I hope she has a good run, though, and I would love to see her with the title. With the women's title, but...
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And what's funny is I was like, who's hurt? I forgot we were talking about Serena Deeb to begin with because I got so far into the subject
Yeah,
and just
sorry.
like wrestlers wrestling injured. No, you're fine too. Because I also, when you mentioned Brian and Andrade, I really thought about Danielson going on record and talking about how he likes to blow those lines and make you think he's really hurting when he's actually fine because
Yeah.
that little bit of wonder and that little bit of cringe is what captivates people, in his opinion. But
Yeah, it's part of the reason why I like Dragunov so much.
I'm in the agreement with you just on the sense of I would like to see wrestlers take more precaution as far as coming back from serious injuries. I felt like Adam Cole was always trying to rush coming back, but on that same breath, I'm like, it's not my body. I wasn't there.
It's not our
in
choices,
the medical
obviously,
room. Man,
We can at least encourage them to do a little bit better.
look out for yourself.
Anyways, pay-per-view.
Lucha Kill Switch wins the TNT title match. Sorry, I didn't know you were gonna ask me a question.
That's what I was gonna ask. Did you watch the pre-show?
Oh yeah, I was with Hook is wrestling an FTW rules match on the pre-show. You know I'm gonna be there.
So he wins the Battle Royal for what essentially ends up being a Money in the Bank contract.
Yeah, it was a weird like cash in type deal.
It
later.
was random in the fact that you didn't have the very first kind of Money in the Bank contract on the main show, but it made sense in storyline, I think.
And they last year, or not last year because now we're entering 2024. We're airing this episode on the first day of the year. I forget, but
In 2022.
in 2022 they did rip the Money in the Bank ladder match with MJF as the Devil winning the Casino ladder match.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
It's like that they did have that whole concept, but this was just weird. And again, what's funny is I didn't even know Lucha Kill Switch was in the match. I didn't remember him entering or anything like that. And then later on, my girlfriend Alyssa tells me, like, wait, where's Luchasaurus? And I was like, he's in this match? And she was like, yeah, but his name's like Kill Switch or something, because she hadn't really been keeping up with the TV stuff in the past month or so. And I was like, yeah, it was a weird storyline, but if he's in this match, I know who's winning this match.
Yeah, that's what I told. I was watching with my mother. Yes, I watch wrestling with my mother. F you. So I was telling her, like, yeah, this is how this is gonna go. You see Kill Switch? He's in here. You know the rest, right?
And see, I wondered. Hey, I saw Serena Deeb on the NXT
Yeah, I just saw
DVD.
it too.
I wondered if like it was gonna be a thing of okay, Christian retains and he cashes in on Christian later on down the line, or if it was a thing of like he's gonna regain it back from.
See, that's what I said as well. I said either Christian's gonna retain and then Kill Switch is finally gonna do the face turn,
Yeah.
or Copeland's gonna win and Kill Switch is gonna give the contract to Christian. And what we saw.
See, I didn't see him just giving it to him either. And I was going to say, wait till you see how that turns out, but people know how it turned out. I won't build suspicion.
I also said that too. I said maybe he'll have to wrestle it from him or something. Not like actually wrestle it, but
I said, nope, that's not what's happening. The pay-per-view starts with the Continental Classic All-Star Tag Match.
Wait.
Okay.
Willow and Chris had a really good match.
They did?
You didn't think it was a good match?
No, nobody did.
Nobody thought it was a good match? I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, you are 1 out of, 100, I might think.
I thought Willow and Chris had a good match until the end, where it seems that a lot of women have trouble with talking about, I forgot who it was, Riho and Tony. Mm-hmm. The end where Willow almost dropped Chris on her head.
Yeah, there was a couple spots like that people were criticizing.
I didn't see any of that until the very end, where she tried to Dr. Bomb her and literally inches from the mat. My God.
Yeah, there was, as far as criticism goes, which I'm not playing into it because I don't really care for anybody's criticism, but what I can say as far as looking at how people felt about it, a lot of criticism was towards how slow the match was. The botches, of course, which, again, I'm not here to criticize professionals' moves when I can't do them myself. Another one, which I can understand, was the concept of Chris and Willow just scrapping a tag match, wrestling each other, and Chris looking like she's going to have a heel turn, but just not. And yeah, I would say myself, let it play out, but I get why people criticize that.
See, because it was a pre-show match,
yeah,
I didn't care much about the storyline, because to me, pre-show matches are to get people in the seats, and typically I don't think a pre-show, which I guess this is the WWE thing. Maybe that's why I think like this, because I think back in AEW, they do a lot of storyline stuff in their pre-show matches. Mm-hmm. So, but I was just thinking this is just a friendly little exhibition and some stuff with Stokely. I didn't see all the botches. I thought I was paying attention. I think that was one of the only matches where I was fully paying attention, because I really like Chris and I really like Willow. But I don't know. But everyone's entitled to their own opinion, you know. And I realize I'm typically on this minority side of any opinion, so.
You have a couple of those moments. I mean, what's your opinion on Daniel Garcia being the one to pick up the All-Star win?
I think that's a good call. I think out of everyone in that match, he needed it the most.
I agree. What I don't agree with necessarily, it's not that I agree or disagree. I just think it's a little silly. CJ Perry scraps all of this and turns on Andrade and hooks Miro, which again, we know in the backstory of Andrade, and he's going back to WWE. I think 80% true that statement is. But that was confusing.
Look, why does it feel like Andrade and Miro left WWE to take part in a WWE storyline in AEW?
That is as accurate of a statement I can agree with.
After Andrade had such a good run in the Continental Classic, I don't understand. But he's gone, so it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Timeless Toni Storm retains her title. Rio takes a gnarly bump.
She does.
I see you voguing over there.
When she... Again, the ending to the match felt rushed because when Tony pulled her off the turnbuckle and she landed, it was okay, we gotta do the twisting. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
But that twisting finisher she has, and she couldn't even get her all the way up for that. Two out of the 3 women's matches on this had poor finishes, in my opinion.
Fair. And when I was looking forward to the pay-per-view, I was looking forward more to the TBS title match than the world title match. But at that same time, I wasn't not excited for the women's title match or anything like that.
That's
just
fair.
trying to say I wasn't excited so much more for one. But that TBS title match was fucking... It held up too. I'll get to it in a second. Keith Lee out. So we find this out.
He's injured. He literally posts on Twitter today of I'm dealing with some stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and make it, but I don't know. And then he just doesn't make it.
Some people took to the internet to criticize him and Tony Khan about this and that, and he denied them quickly.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Keith Lee. I did say that I think Keith Lee will never reach the peak that he had in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
At this rate, with the injuries and the mental health and everything, I just don't think he's gonna reach that peak.
Yeah. Keith Lee's out, so Dustin Rhodes quickly replaces him, and just as quickly as he replaced him, he gets taken out.
It wasn't a squash match.
No, because...
But it wasn't the most competitive of matches either.
Right. Swerve snaps that motherfucker's ankle on a cinder block.
Yep.
Dustin tried to fight still, and admittedly, I was hoping instead here we'd get a new signing or a return or something. Shelton Benjamin, mostly. For whatever reason, I was like, let Shelton Benjamin come out right now. Shelton versus Swerve, let's go.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking, like, okay, Keith Lee's going to swerve, right? And he's actually not going to be injured. He's going to come out and save Dustin and then pounce the crap out of him into the fans, and that'll be it or something, but nope.
Despite everything leading up to this, it's a solid-ass match, and Swerve gets the win.
Yep. I almost feel like it didn't have to happen on the pay-per-view, though.
I would have swapped a 0-hour match for it, but semantics.
See, here's what again, we're going to disagree. I would have put Chris and Willow over that, but I guess since it wasn't that great of a match, I guess that's a bad opinion.
We got "This Is Spooky" chants for Abaddon and Julia Hart. The match was really unique and special, and I loved it. I didn't realize the biting stipulation ahead of time. It was really fucking funny.
My mother literally said, before they said anything, that the stipulation will be biting is allowed. And then literally Justin Roberts is like, the stipulation that Abaddon is choosing is biting is allowed.
I've never seen that, I don't think. I don't think I've ever seen a biting is allowed match.
I love House Rules matches, by the way. I don't know, there's just something fun about it.
Sky Blue interferes and Julia Hart retains, which, again, you could have your opinion on Sky Blue's involvement in this storyline. I just love that match. Again, I've never seen a biting is allowed match. It's not something I don't think has been done. If it has, someone please send me the footage.
I don't think it's something that'll be done again, probably.
One of a kind, like RVD.
One of a kind.
So, again, like I said, this pay-per-view had such like a slow build, but then Edge versus Christian was a breath of fresh air for a lot of fans, especially the live crowd. You could tell.
I see we skipped completely over, yeah.
Not to mention the flaming table spot, but I will 100% mention Edge winning the TNT title. I'll go ahead and mention Edge is a now former TNT champion.
For 3 minutes.
Just for Killsaurus to give his shit up to Christian and Christian win it back.
It made sense, and it just makes Christian even more of a heel. Like, he's
fucking Killsaurus.
He's on the run of a lifetime.
It is really cool to see him at this age and at this tenure in his career be this over. Continental Classic finals held up. Kingston wins it all, which, again, not a lot of people saw coming. And he's a modern Triple Crown champion. Like, hell of a finish for someone who's almost out of the tournament.
Considering the story, considering his respect for All Japan and, Japan in general, and the Triple Crown,
throw my pin.
It made sense. I feel like if anyone to hold it, the only thing that really made me think he wasn't going to is because a few months back when he had those 2 titles, he stopped taking indie dates and he was complaining about his back.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would you then give him even more of a schedule when he needs to take some time off? But then I thought, it's Kingston. He's not going to take time off.
Yeah. I mean, every show I've been to in the last year, I've seen him wrestle so much to the point to where I'm like, yo, if I'm going to miss a match to go to the bathroom, it's going to be Eddie Kingston. And it's not because he's a bad wrestler. He's a great wrestler. It's because I've seen him wrestle that frequently now. And I wondered, I didn't even have this in the notes, but it is fresh on my mind. I wondered going into this how we were going to unify the ROH World title, the New Japan Strong Openweight title, with a new title. And that's when I found out last night we're not.
Yeah, they explained like they're not. And I thought we were unifying them the whole time, but no.
No,
all 3 will be defended.
He is legitimately a Triple Crown champion and will defend all 3 titles individually.
I feel like that won't last long.
Yeah, I can only imagine who the next ROH World Champion is. But I could see him holding the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship for quite a while still.
That's fair.
Although Wrestle Kingdom's coming up, I'm excited for Wrestle Kingdom, but that's another time to talk. This isn't that show. Surprise before the main event. Adam Cole crutches his way out to ringside and stands by MJF's side.
It was at that point where I said, Adam Cole's the devil. Actually, no, I think I said it earlier in the show. Mm-hmm. I even put it on Twitter. I said, Adam Cole's the devil, locking in my answer. But it was at that point where I was 100% convinced. He's there, and I literally told you, we had that, you posted on Twitter. Mm-hmm. You were like, but he's on crutches, and I'm like,
yeah,
subversion.
I got worked. I knew I was getting worked. I was like, I don't know what to believe anymore. I felt like Adam Cole was the devil, and now I'm confused. I cannot believe Joe won.
I can't believe he won clean.
Yeah, and I'll get to this little tangent first, but then I'll go back to Joe's placement in it. We finally get the reveal we all knew, and it broke my fucking heart. It did. I'm sorry, it just did.
It was heartbreaking, even though it was really predictable. It was still heartbreaking.
Adam Cole has finally turned on MJF, and I always thought I was ready, and I never was. Now,
nope.
Watching the media scrum, I want to say this. I respect Joe as champion. I'm bittersweet about the Triple B design being changed, although it makes it feel more sentimental to MJF and his title reign. I'm just wondering how long this title reign will go on, because there's so many top guys out there that should have been world champion if MJF isn't. And that's not to say, again, that Joe isn't a good champion, just not as fresh feeling as Adam Cole or Swerve Strickland. Like, I don't want to be rude, but I don't want to see a long Samoa Joe reign. I want to see some fresh champions, someone I haven't seen be a world champion yet, like Swerve Strickland.
I think that's fair, and I don't know how. I know on the pre-show they were saying Joe is, or maybe not pre-show, wherever it was, they said Joe holds championships for a long time. Yeah, it was a pre-show.
Yeah.
He holds championships for a long time.
If you could, I know it's hard right now because it's literally the next day and it's so early. If you could pick one person to take that title off of him, who would it be?
Swerve Strickland.
Amen. It's like
Swerve Strickland. I think not only, and maybe this is getting a little too political, but I feel like an African American world champion is needed in this climate. I think it's something that needs to happen sooner rather than later.
I agree, and I think
but not just an African American champion. Obviously, you couldn't have one until you had someone who was who felt like they belonged there. Not just to do it for the publicity, for the political, but someone that felt right. Swerve feels right.
Yeah, it's because that's what I was just about to say. Even if you did take that factor out of it, which is a very important factor as far as representation, I feel like taking that factor out of it, still he has every legitimate argument to be champion just based off of fan favorite, self-confidence, match quality, promo quality. Like, he is that package now, and this is the time. But Tony's in charge, and I'm not. Now, the only thing I got past the pay-per-view, I did watch the media scrum, and a lot of interesting stuff. Didn't get as political as I thought, didn't get as controversial as I thought. No. Many times they had a lot of fun. We got to hear a lot of insight from Julia Hart, from Daniel Garcia, from Swerve Strickland, Tony Storm. Also, we get the confirmation QT Marshall currently not re-signing with AEW. He is parting ways currently, but there is an open door there for him to come back as both a producer and as a wrestler.
And I guess you don't have it on your notes, but Sean Spears is also seemingly with AEW as well.
I didn't know that, and I am so sorry to all the fans out there that are going to be offended by this, but I am so happy because I was not digging Sean Spears in the past 2 years. I tried with Ty Dillinger. He's just not my guy. He's not my guy. He's not.
I was a fan of Sean Spears, both as the chairman and doing the 10
The chairman. I remember that.
And I feel like I don't know what he's going to do. I feel like he needs to go on the indie scene because I don't think he's going to get anything from WWE.
Yeah. He needs to go on a Mustafa Ali world tour.
Yeah, speaking of world tour, Dempsey in Japan.
Yeah, that was a big announcement this week, was Dempsey going over to All Japan.
And the fact that Regal got to announce it himself too, that was so good.
Yeah. I mean, he did go over there to see his son, so it makes sense. Oh, I gotta get my notes out.
Gotta get the final awards.
Yeah, these are the last two, and they are the biggest two in my opinion. This one had a lot of opinions to it, and I knew it would, because there's so many names that could make this list. It's hard to really tell.
My friend, again, they debated the whole list because they felt like Breakout should have been someone that hasn't held a championship.
Yeah.
Someone that's not Tiffany Stratton. That's not any of these people.
Right, because all these people, when we talk about breakout star, are people that we see on the rising part of their journey and are about to climax. Like, I'm looking at this like a story plot.
Yeah.
And so that's why they make the list. And I feel like a lot of people have that same opinion where it's like, well, these people are down on the chain and about to break out into being famous, being notable.
I think the thought was more of like the people on like the Brian Keith, the Tatum Paxleys, people that are just barely getting this TV time that haven't held championships yet. And they're about to hold a championship or something.
Yeah, and it was a fair assessment. And I think next year I might look at that a little bit more in depth, but I really wanted to focus on like Carmelo Hayes, again, last place in the finals, but made it into the finals. He's a breakout star because he's solidified himself in NXT and is now about
on the cusp of being called up. Yeah, that was my argument. I was like, I don't know what his thought process per se was when he made this, because he made these categories. I have input in a lot of things, but I didn't have input on this.
Yeah.
But I mean, I gave a little suggestions here and there, but I did the categories themselves.
Hella welcome suggestions.
So when we discussed this, I was thinking like Tatum Paxley, like Carmen Petrovic, like these people that are just barely getting TV time. But I explained it to them that these are people that have held championships, but in like the lower card, or in like NXT, or Julia with the TBS. Maybe she'll become the women's champion. Or like Dragunov, maybe he'll go to the main roster and become a world champion or become a United States champion. Something like that.
A world champion. And I was talking about this 2 days ago with somebody in depth. Carmelo Hayes, again, last place in the finals, but that's not really what this conversation is about right now. Carmelo Hayes is destined to be a world champion. It is undeniable, in my opinion.
I feel like everyone on this list is destined to be a champion of some sort. I feel like Tiffany may have had the worst year of them just because something didn't click. But she has all the tools. Julia is sort of the dark horse where I don't think anyone saw her being at where she is right now. But she has this potential to be even bigger. Dragunov and Carmelo, to me, are 100% world championship material.
So if you guys weren't going to find out, you now know all the people on the list. Tiffany Stratton only got 16%, Dragunov got 26% at second place, and Julia Hart won at 51%, just over the total votes.
I wasn't even thinking about that when I did.
I was like, you're spoiling my whole thing right now.
I'm sorry.
And what I was saying before that too, what I was trying to get off on, Carmelo Hayes is undeniably a world champion, and if we don't see that, I have to question what we're doing with what are actual top stars and what are perceived as top stars.
Would you say the same about Dragunov, though?
Yes, 100%. 100%. 110%. I mean, we said this about, I'm looking at this guy right now, Cesaro. Cesaro should have been a world champion and wasn't. Sami Zayn should be a world champion and hasn't been. There's people that are perceived top stars, and then there's people that are actually over.
I think there is... And there's also there's only so much room, obviously. Now you have 2 world championships again, but there's storylines you have to fulfill, there's, accolades you have to give, there's...
Of course.
And there's people that have been there for a while that, may not have had their time yet, that need their time. I mean... And not everyone's gonna get it, unfortunately.
That's the sad truth. It's not everybody's gonna get it, and that's part a lot of us can't accept. But
yeah,
that is a sad truth. Now, this was the most important category to me, and I don't think any other award show has done this category, from my knowledge. Sorry, I got so many coffee burps coming up right now. Best wrestler, regardless of gender. we took the top 2 out of the best men and best women of 2023, and we pulled a vote on that. Who's the best wrestler regardless of gender? And Gunther and Athena both tied at 29%, which I thought was just commendable because, again, Athena wasn't even supposed to be in this conversation, giving it's not a main show thing, but she really did put in that much work, and it shows because she was tied for second best wrestler of the year, regardless of gender. The winner, who's won many categories, to nobody's surprise here, was Will Ospreay.
Willie-o.
Yeah, amazing year. Got like 3 awards out of this, and I agree with it, but I cannot commend enough everybody's reception and reaction to Athena being in these categories because she deserved every bit of it.
She does, and I'm hoping she makes the jump to, you know, being on AEW TV eventually. And we get to see her face off against, you know,
Right.
Chris Statlander, against Tony Storm, against, hopefully Jamie will be back.
Yeah, Athena versus Jamie Hayter is a fantasy match for me.
And I just want to say, like, from 2023, we've had a lot of people out with injuries. I feel like more so this year than maybe years, not all the years, but maybe the past, like, 2 years.
Yeah.
It feels like this year has been really big with injuries. Get well to everyone. We're still thinking about every one of you.
2024 is going to be a year for health and wellness, guys.
Yeah, that's what we're putting out into the universe.
I'm excited for this next month and the start of the year because next week we'll do our regular show, and I'm glad for that. After that, that's the season 1 finale, and I'm already starting to kind of work on that little package. We're going to take a week off after that, and then, I'm so excited because we'll start season 2 Royal Rumble weekend.
Okay, I want to pick your brain for a second, really quickly. Right now, Royal Rumble winners.
LA Knight's winning the Rumble. I said that months ago. I'm not changing that.
I don't think LA Knight's winning the Rumble.
I still have LA Knight pegged to win the Rumble, regardless of CM Punk's entry, regardless of Cody Rhodes' story.
Okay, but what about the women?
That does have a little bit more cachet to it, a little bit more mystery because I can't predict a winner just yet, but as we said earlier, Jade Cargill will probably come in. I can predict a couple surprises. And that said, we just found out that the Sasha Banks rumors are ixnay. They're not actually. And here's what gets me worked is we thought the same thing about CM Punk. They denied any signing of CM Punk. So I don't think that they would be past lying about the fact that they're not signing Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. It's up for question, but she's definitely a surprise.
There's still a couple of other, Julia, Deanna Purrazzo, still a couple free agents.
I don't see her going to the Feds, but that's me.
No. And every year I will say it, and every year I will hope again, Meiko Satomura. She's not coming, probably. She's probably still in the UK. She's still signed as far as I'm aware, but...
I think the fan favorite to win the Women's Rumble, actually, is not like fan favorite, but like people are most predicting Bailey to win it.
I see a lot of people saying Bailey. Yeah. I see a lot of people saying Bailey. And I know there's that dedicated Liv Morgan fan base, obviously.
Yes.
Which, I mean, there is a story there. You could do Liv and Rhea.
But
I don't know if they would do
again,
that.
we'll get to this once we start the road to WrestleMania at Royal Rumble weekend, where we're starting season 2.
Exactly. I just wanted to quickly throw that out and see where our heads are at.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for a road to WrestleMania season. It's just about 6 months after we've debuted the show, and it's been an amazing ride for these 6 months. And I'm just really excited to see how this year turns out for us. So
I mean, I don't want to end this off, I don't want to lock you into saying anything, but what are some of the things you want the podcast to do in 2024? Like,
I would love to see us get more video content, especially with the main episode. And I would love to be able to get into a position to finagle some media passes. I feel like with all the people in their podcasts at these media scrums asking half-assed questions and kind of walking around in eggshells, it would be really refreshing to have a wrestling journalist in these media scrums that has an actual neutral point to be had.
Right.
And so
that's a very good resolution. I think for me, I I want to branch out, obviously, and I want to get more traction everywhere. That's standard. And I want to get into... I think we've talked about this a couple times, doing actual, like, GM modes or universe mode.
Yes, I want that universe mode to get started.
I think what I want to do, 2K24.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming it's as good as 2K23.
Let's go ahead and assume it'll be better.
At least as good.
Yeah, if not. Because, again, I just feel like they're going to improve even more than they
So,
have.
if they make it even better, or at least as good, that is viable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good... That's where we try and not make a promise to you guys, but at least that's where I'm hoping we can start when 2K24 comes out.
It's a good start, and I'm with that, so I think that's what's going to make that possible is the fact that I'm on that same page. And also, we talked about this earlier, and we talk about it all the time. Getting some interviews in here is going to be great.
Yeah,
and
we do have a lot of people that we've been talking to, but we're still...
And we're talking to local and independent wrestlers, and I'm so excited to put those guys over. But also, I've gotten some emails and some contacts inside that I'm really excited to pursue, including... but not limited to somebody you're very much a fan of. I have currently been in talks and reaching out to Car Noir for an interview.
What?
I'm not kidding. I'm in talks. So
what?
that's where I'm leaving this one.